Alright, so let's look at question 4.3.2. I have my highlighters ready so that I can start highlighting. So question 4.3.2, they're saying QU, this line, is parallel. So these lines, when they're parallel, they represent them like that, with two lines in the middle. Two lines. So this is parallel to RV, meaning the whole line from here to here, it is parallel. And we can also see with these two arrows, you see here we have two arrows, here we have one arrow. So meaning parallel lines goes in pairs. This line would be parallel to this one. You can't say this is parallel to this because it's also parallel. No, it goes in pairs. So the RS and the PT would also be parallel to each other, but we can't compare this line and that line. They're not the same. They go in pairs, just like a railway. And then they're saying that angle QPT, which is 90 degrees. So the angle in that we're talking about is angle P. That's why it's in the middle and it has a cap. So they're talking about this angle, saying that it's 90 degrees. Then the angle R that they're talking about is 15 degrees, which would be this angle. They're asking us to calculate with reason the size of angle P1 and Q1. Right, before we calculate, we need to always remember the fun X. We have F that represents corresponding angles. Now look at this. Do you see the pair of parallel lines? You have parallel lines here. See that? Then we have this parallel lines. They're always next to each other and they don't meet. These are parallel lines here. Then X does not have any parallel lines. So the important ones would be the fun. So F is for corresponding, and angles that are corresponding are equal. Then U is for cointerior, and angles that are cointerior adds up to 180 degrees, so they're also supplementary. Then alternate angles would be equal angles and they form a Z or an N. Then vertically opposite you already have. So what you do first is you try and find out which ones would be your F, your Z. So by just highlighting, I'm trying to find F. So I see an F here. It can be in any direction, guys. The F doesn't have to be the normal F that we know. It can be lying in a very weird form. Do you see that? I see an F. Right, let's search for Z. Oh, I also see a Z. Look at that. I see a Z here. Do you see that? That's a Z. Then let's find an N, or a U. This cannot be a U. Look at the parallel lines. Look at that. You can't say this is a U. That's a very weird U. Unless if you do it like this, then this would be a U. Yes, this is a U. Right, so I already found F. Let's start with that. So if we're saying angles are corresponding, we're talking about this angle on the part of the top of the F and at the bottom part. So meaning we're talking about this angle and this angle, and we say that they're equal. So now we already have our answers. Do you see that? So for the F, we start by saying that angle R is equal to angle P1. So what is angle R? Angle R is equal to angle P1. Now why are we saying that? Because they are corresponding angles. Now you have to mention which lines are parallel, meaning which lines are forming the parallel lines for F. It is this RS and TP. So you can say that angle R, not angle RS, but line SR is parallel to line PT. That's a full reason. Corresponding angles. So therefore angle R is 15 degrees, which is equal to angle P1. So now we know that P1, which is this angle, is 15 degrees. Right, so we already found P1. Now they're asking us to find Q1, meaning they want this angle. And did you see that when we're busy with the Z, we'd say that this angle is equal to this angle. but we do not have P3. But how can we get it? I see angles on a straight line. So I see angles here on a straight line. I see angle 15, 90, and this one that we do not know. So how about we find angle P3, so that we can use Q1 and say it's alternating. Right. So we can say angle P3 plus angle P2 plus angle P1 is equal to 180 degrees. And what would be a reason? A reason is adjacent angles on a straight line. Adjacent angles on a straight line, or just angles on a straight line. Right. So what is P3? We do not know what P2 is 90. So P3 we do not know, but P2 is 90 degrees, and P1 we found it is 15 degrees equals to 180 degrees. So we can transpose to the other side, and then we subtract 90 from 15, then we get angle P3. So let's find angle P3. So we're going to say, I'm going to say 90 minus 15, which is equal to 75. So this is equal to 75. Right, this is angle P3. So we found angle P3. Now we said we're going to use angle P3 to find angle Q1. So how about we use alternate angles? So we can therefore say that angle Q1 is equal to angle P3, like that, which is equal to 75 degrees. And why are we saying that? Because it's alternate angles, not alternating angles, alternate angles. Right, so now we have to mention which lines are forming that set. So we're going to say the QU, which is parallel to RV. Remember, it's the whole line. So QU, which is parallel to RV, and that's how we find these angles that they're asking for. So we already found this whole sketch.